What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is a podcast where you can hear the real stories behind the people on social media. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly, and before we jump into today's conversation with the Jurgys, there's a couple things that we need to go over first. Number one, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please consider leaving a rating and a review. The more positive ratings and reviews we get, the more it helps new people find the show, and it really helps to grow the community that we're developing here. And if you're one of those people that have recently found the podcast, welcome. I'm very excited to have you here. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for future episodes. And to everybody listening, make sure you screenshot this, post it to your Instagram story, tag at My Social Life Podcast and at the Jurgys, and I'll feature you on the account and send you a message as well. Now, without further ado, let's get to my conversation with the Jurgys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where you can hear the real stories behind the people on social media. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly, and today we're joined by the Jurgys. And the Jurgys are a YouTube trio comprised of Bryce, Nelly, and Evelyn, and they have over 220,000 subscribers on YouTube. And they recently did a cross-country trip in an RV, leaving treasures behind for their subscribers to go out and find, and they're on a mission to inspire you to adventure more. And I'm very excited to have them here on the podcast today. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks. We're excited to be here.
Evelyn's actually in Nelly's arms right now, but she's just sucking on a binky.
That's awesome. But where I wanted to start, I want to go all the way back. And was content creation something you did growing up, even like before YouTube? Like, were you making videos at home or anything, or taking photos as you were a kid, like anything like that?
I feel like every kid had like that really tacky, but really cool, like software on their Dell that like you could record with your friends and do dumb stuff. That's what I did growing up anyway. I mean, until, you got into college or whatever and then you filmed more, but Bryce probably had more of a, yeah, you tell him.
I want to see these videos that you made.
They're gone. They're long gone.
I definitely did with my buddies. We, freshman year, especially in high school, we got into a film class. And so I thought it was the coolest thing for homework, being able to tell my parents that I need to go and film. And we figured out a lot you could do with fire and like rubbing alcohol and stuff like that. And we did a lot of stunt scenes that we thought were legit, of lighting our friends' hands on fire and stuff like that and jumping off things. So yeah, as far as that. But then I guess my senior year, I ran a school news channel and we made videos for the school district. And I always thought I wanted to do like funny commercials and advertising. But long story short, when I came time to go to college and I got into some of the film world, all of the theories and all the time we were spending on stuff that I didn't feel like helped me be a better storyteller. And then learning the advertising world, a lot of it's kind of snaky and trashy. Like they don't care about people. They just want their eyeballs and their money, And so I was thinking, I don't know if that's going to be as fulfilling for me. And knowing some of the loopholes I have to jump through and paying my dues for years to kind of be able to make a mark, I shelved that idea until YouTube came about and became a thing. And once it was like, wow, I don't have to get anyone's permission or work for anybody. We could just make videos and put them out there. And if people like it, it'll go. Then it was like it all came back full circle.
Mm-hmm. And so ultimately, when did you two decide to start your YouTube channel?
And Bryce wanted to start a YouTube channel for like ever, but I was really hesitant about it.
It's true. I was always filming stuff, even when we were dating. But I was planning on just making videos for our kids. Like when I knew she liked me, I would turn to the camera and say like, "What's up, kids? This is your mom and I just doing this," as a joke, kind of serious. But to her, I made it look like a joke. But yeah, I always wanted to. But Nelly wasn't down for it until. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can tell the story. It's fine. I was not really cool with the like whole putting our life online thing, and I don't know, just didn't like ring a bell to me. But I eventually had a pretty like gnarly health scare. They thought I had breast cancer because I had a lump, and anyway, it escalated pretty quickly. Everything's good right now, but you kind of just have that like whole life flash before your eyes moment where you're just like, oh man, like we could go at any moment, and what's life really about? And are we, am I really doing something that's meaningful in my life and helping others? And so for me, that was kind of the game changer. And that's when I was like, all right, Bryce, like, let's do this. But if we do it, we have to do like good stuff. Like, I only want to like spread goodness. I don't want to be like some pop stars on YouTube. That doesn't sound fun to me. Like, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. So that's kind of what, and then of course, Bryce was all excited and on board with it. And then we just took off.
Yeah.
And so I mentioned in the intro you were hiding treasures on when you did the trip around the country, but I also did some digging and I saw that's something you did from the beginning. So where did that idea kind of come from to start leaving these treasures behind to encourage people to go out and find them?
Yeah. So Nellie's big thing that as she was fired up to do a channel, it kept coming back to her desire to encourage families to adventure more together and friends to adventure more together. And so we planned exciting things to do and trips, and we made some videos, and I like put in so many hours on one of the edits, and even though like I did film in high school, it's a whole different thing when you're actually like putting it out for the whole world. And our videos have definitely improved since then, but like we uploaded them, and the few hundred views we were getting, comments of people saying like, wow, that looks so fun, or oh, that looks so cool.
Wish I could do it.
Yeah. And that was the thing that kind of fired up Nellie more, where she kept seeing these comments of, I wish I could do that. And so she's like, that's it. Like, we need to get people to just be like, okay, then do it. If you wish you could do it, just do it. So this was the same day we bought this old green van when we started our channel.
From like Hurricane, Utah.
Yeah. We just left, Southern Utah. We went on a rock climbing trip, and we saw this van, and Nellie just was like, that'd be so cool to own it. And joking, I pulled over, I filmed it being like, should we buy this? Not even thinking that we would. And then on our drive, we were just like, why don't we? We are telling people to go after things that they want to in life. Let's get this van. And then we had that question of, well, how can we get people to actually act? And I think Nellie came up with it, I think.
We both did. It was both of our ideas, but it was more like, I mean, I think we all go through this where we all follow somebody on Instagram or YouTube or some part of social media where it's like they live this amazing life and it looks so awesome, but it's something that's just kind of far out of reach, or we always are like, that's on my bucket list, or I wish we could do that. And it's cool, but you like don't connect with people that way. Like, you don't build that relationship. And so we just started talking like, how do we get people not only like motivated, but keep them motivated by like pretty much offering the same opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we wanted to take away the barrier of it's not that difficult to just go. And so we thought if we could hide these treasures everywhere we are,
with like the same free experience that we just showed in our YouTube.
Yeah, and then someone who's been in that state or that area for the longest time, I'd be like, wait, I just have to drive in my car and go find that little treasure or geocache treasure, then I can get it. We thought it was an awesome idea. We were so fired up about it, and we went on this trip from Mexico to Canada. We camped along the Pacific coast.
Like 6 weeks.
Yeah, it was amazing. An awesome trip. We traveled with a family, the Nortons. It was amazing. We slept in our car. We slept in tents, sometimes hotels. And then we hid.
Like shower.
Yeah, we hid like at least 8 treasures in the States and then some in Mexico and Canada. And none of them were found. No one went after them for months. We thought it was the coolest thing. But like 8 months went by of nothing.
And then all of a sudden, they all were being found. It was like unreal.
It just took one person. We were trying to line up some plans for like future videos for the Jurgys, and we were in New York, and that deal actually fell through. But we were still just enjoying our time there. We had like one day left, and around midnight, we were just going to bed, and I got a notification on Facebook, and a mom had posted that. Well, actually, someone else had found one of our treasures in Bear River. And it had been there so long that we had a treasure box we used, and it was all moldy and nasty by the time he found it. So when he posted online that he found it, this mom in Seattle saw that, and she woke her kids up and drove 2 hours to go find this treasure that she didn't know if it was still there. And she uploaded the video of her and her kids finding it, and they were so stoked. And she sent us this message of like, we've never done anything like this. This was so fun. My kids think I'm the coolest. And on and on. And then one of her friends saw that, who lived in Washington, and they traveled 10 hours to go find one of our treasures. And so, yeah, just this big snowball effect.
And now they're all found within like 24 hours.
Yeah.
Usually less.
That's so crazy. But no, I just had to ask with that because that was definitely something when I was just doing some like research on you guys was something that really stood out to me kind of like from the beginning. I thought that was so unique and just such a cool idea.
Thanks.
No worries. And speaking of other things that happened early on in the channel, I wanted to ask about a video that you did with Devin Supertramp. Like, what's the story behind that video?
Which which video was that? We've worked with Devin a lot. Do you know?
Really?
Was it the Wendy's or like the floating bounce house or?
No, I
The
think the one on,
lawnmower.
yeah, the one on your channel was a lawnmower one.
Yeah.
So I actually, it's kind of funny. When Bryce and I were dating, I actually was really good friends with Devin. And I'm in like a ton of his videos. I think I'm in like 18 of them or something.
Yeah,
like
if you
that.
watch all of his original videos and there's like, they turn to the cool people that are like, woo, and whatever. But Nelly was one of the woo crowd, but then she also was a girl who would actually do the stunts. So Devin kept inviting her back, and they were good friends, yeah.
Yeah. And then Bryce actually kind of helped advertise some of his videos online when they launched. So it's kind of funny. We kind of like knew each other.
Yeah,
and then
before we
started
met,
dating. Yeah.
before we met, she was in Devin's videos, and I was helping in the background of like trying to email them out to news channels, some of them, not all of them. And
But then we became friends with Devin. And so
Yeah.
whenever he did shoots, he'd just be like, hey, you guys want to come? And so then we would.
yeah, anytime if we got a text from him, it was like, drop everything else you're doing because it's going to be cool
Yeah.
or epic, whatever
Devin
he's
always
doing.
does epic stuff. So
Yeah, no, that's crazy. But kind of getting back onto your channel, when you were saying how things kind of just took off, I wanted to ask about the first video of yours that popped. And from everything I could tell, it was the Pokemon Go in real life video, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun one. Like, we actually were driving in our green van through Provo.
Utah, past the Provo library. And it was, what time was it? I like just got off work at like midnight. So we were going like after midnight driving home, and the library was full of college students, just like packed to the brim. And we were like, this is insane.
They're all staring at their phones and not even talking to each other. And Nelly, again, going back to her drive of wanting to get people to get out. Me too, but she like the forefront of it. She's like, we need to get these people to stop staring at their phones. And we just were laughing about it, and randomly we're like, what if we should make Pokemon Go be real? Like, dress up as Pokemon, create this dodgeball event, and see if all these people with pent up energy, because they've been staring at their phone for hours.
And yes, so it also was like, I mean, you got to be smart about things on YouTube. It was a very trendy thing at the moment. It was like, if we make a video about this, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And so, yeah, on YouTube, it did really well.
Was it the next day or 2 days later? It was like, we got the costumes. I made the Ash costume. I made like the Pokeballs, and we went for it.
Yeah, we were just waiting on Amazon Prime Day to ship us the onesies. But yeah, and then we went and filmed it. And funny story, Casey Neistat came out with a video that was almost a similar concept, but filmed differently. His went live, I think, hours after ours did. And then some other people uploaded similar ones. Devin uploaded a Pokemon Go one. And yeah, it popped on YouTube. I want to say, what did it get, like 200,000 views? And that was awesome. But then on Facebook, it got 6 million views. And we uploaded on Facebook as well. And so Facebook, we gained thousands of followers. And then that helped with credibility with YouTube. And yeah, that brought, that gave us good momentum.
And it was an awesome video.
It was a lot of fun to film too.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. And I wanted to ask too, did I see somewhere that you recently had a meeting with Facebook about exclusively posting there, doing some form of content deal with them?
Yeah. We, a few months ago because they've been really trying to build their, like over a year ago, they were really focusing on watch pages. And then since then, they've really been trying to build relationships with creators all over. They've loved our concept of hiding treasures and doing these adventures. And
we really are like the only people that I know of that does that.
Yeah. I mean, pirates do it or did it long ago. And then there's like a geocache community. So like some people are like, oh yeah, it's just like geocaching. And it is in some ways. But yeah, only creators doing it. And so they were stoked about our 50 states trip. And we were making a series from that.
That's awesome. So is that going to be coming out in the new year? Is that on Facebook already?
It's quite a few states are on Facebook already. To be totally transparent there, we were so overwhelmed with all the production that we're doing with, because we're making a documentary of our 50 states trip as well. And I think we kind of dropped the ball there. Facebook was ready to really make it a special series. And if I could go back, we would have focused probably more on that than other things we were doing. Facebook at the time wasn't monetizing, and so it was like,
they were testing out the monetization. So we should have jumped on it, because that'd been really smart for us.
We were just like, well, there's cash coming through these other avenues, so let's keep those going. And then when we're ready, we'll do Facebook. And I wish we would have dropped other things, because they're taking care of people anyone that's really pushing their brand on Facebook, Facebook's taking care of them. It's hard to know. And some people are like, well, you're not making a ton on ads yet or whatever, but
some people are
I think it's a very smart play to focus on Facebook.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you think that Facebook will continue to kind of increase its brand in like the video space and really kind of compete head to head with YouTube? Because everything that I've seen lately, like they're really pushing video. And I was looking through a bunch of documents and stuff from Facebook, and they were saying how photos and like static content is going to start just being viewed as bonus content in the algorithm. And you should really focus on videos 3 minutes plus. So you really think that Facebook moving forward is going to become like a serious player in the video space?
Well, yeah, I think so. We have some friends that the Dashleys actually, and they really blew up on Facebook, and now their YouTube has followed. Their following on YouTube they grew pretty quickly. Once they got momentum they've passed 100,000 on YouTube, and on Facebook they're around 500,000, I think.
They're more than that.
They probably are, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're
killing it though.
And yeah, they're doing really well there. I don't think it's gonna die, and
not anytime soon anyway.
No, so yeah, I think it's a really good play, especially because
but you got to be consistent on Facebook. Like you got to be really consistent.
And one cool thing is like a lot of creators are worrying about COPPA and their YouTube videos for kids. If you can build an audience on Facebook, you don't have to worry about that, because the audience is generally older. Like no kids are on Facebook at all. It's moms, or when people get to college, then they finally create a Facebook because they have to for something. But internationally, there's a lot of countries that Facebook doesn't even cost data to use on their phones. So these third world countries, it costs data to watch a YouTube video, but Facebook, they can scroll through for hours and it doesn't take data. And so there's things like that as far as building an international following. Like, yeah, it's a smart play.
Wow, I had no idea about that data thing though, that it didn't count towards your data in certain countries. That's super interesting.
Yeah, and that's, I think, because Facebook's obviously giving that, like they have a goal to really connect the world, and so they have their different solar planes that are in the sky that help send Wi-Fi in different places that don't have it. Like they really want to help the world be connected. So if you can be known on Facebook, it's never a bad thing and only good. Plus, I like how you can, on Facebook, when someone watches a video and comments on it, immediately you can message them privately and build this relationship. And then with Facebook ads, if you have merch, you can pixel viewers and find similar audiences very well. And we haven't run any ads on our channel, but there are people that do, and they find the person that will always subscribe and then find a similar audience and like do ads to promote, to get in front of those audiences to grow their following.
That's awesome. See, I definitely think Facebook's something I should probably, like, just listening to you talk about, is something I should take more seriously and really kind of even put some of my podcast videos onto Facebook. But I want to talk about that 50 states trip that you mentioned. What was kind of the genesis of that trip? And then ultimately, like, do you have any highlights from that trip that you can kind of share?
Oh man. Yeah. Do you want to talk about why I started, or?
I mean, I feel like that was your idea, so you can take that one.
This idea.
Like, okay, legit. Let me just start off as saying I just had a baby. Like literally just had a baby. Okay, go ahead.
So I had a lot of time to think, right, in the hospital. Nellie's, in recovery, and my mind's going everywhere. No, you're right. We've been doing these treasures forever, and we're hiding treasures before the 50 state trip. But it was kind of sporadic. Like the treasures were hidden wherever we were. So we were in Asia, we hid treasures in Asia. We were in Europe, we were in Canada, then New York, and then randomly we were in
Idaho.
Idaho. And so there was no flow to it. And so a lot of our viewers didn't know that that's what we did. And so we thought, okay, we should really own up to this.
Yeah.
And we want to twofold with our brand was to get people to adventure more together so that they can create memories and moments together. And then by hiding treasures, it gets people outside. And so we thought if we can show adventures in all 50 states, then no one has an excuse, because everyone in the United States is within a half-day drive to do something epic that we're going to show.
Well, and we're like relating to everybody.
Yeah.
Because somebody's from the 50s, somebody's from there. So,
yeah.
And then they just kind of followed our course, and throughout our whole trip, we got messages constantly that were like, when are you coming to Ohio? When are you coming to Pennsylvania? When are you coming? Can you guys stop here? Or here's ideas you guys can do, or just like constantly. So people were like stoked to follow along.
Yeah.
Or there's families now who are starting to RV, and they're like, they are excited to follow our route or whatever. It's just been really cool.
Yeah, it really has.
Sorry.
No, that's it. So that helped to really show more people caught wind that, oh, they hide treasures in. Once we launched, we had the news feature us, and then it got on ABC.
So we talked about doing a van first, and then we had Abel, and we're like, Bryce was like, what if we do an RV? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Literally, I'm not okay. We got an RV. Bryce has never driven an RV in his entire life. We bought the RV. Evelyn is 2 months old, so she's like still newborn. Bryce drives it home, and we renovate it within like a month, and then we leave. So our daughter's whole life has been an RV traveling the 50 states.
Yeah, and we had some dear friends help us out, Bryce and Kenzie.
From Harkin Films.
Yeah, they have a channel, Harkin Films, and a production company. And so we actually had another couple living with us the first 2 months of our trip.
But we had an idea. We were excited about it, and we like just made it happen.
Yeah,
we
just went for it.
Did it.
Yeah.
New baby and all, new parents. Like it was great.
So we've hidden treasures in all 50 states, and
we there might be more than what people think, but we'll be announcing
what we actually did in all 50 states, but that'll be revealed later.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff behind the scenes that we're pumped to release more of. But as far as highlights, what's a highlight else for you? Like there's so many that it really made the 50 states seem small but massive. That like we were obsessed with international travel, but there's so many cool things that only literally anyone can do. Just get in a car and drive for 16 hours, and you have 30 epic places you can go see from wherever you are.
And this one's really simple, so simple. But we went and stayed. What was it, South Carolina?
Yeah, in South Carolina.
We stayed at like a state park, but it was like super foresty, and then you walk 5 minutes and you're on the beach, like
white sand beach.
Yeah, it was like beautiful, and our daughter just like loved it. She would like run into the ocean. She's like only like not even a year and a half. She's just like throwing herself in the waves, and that was really simple. But like for us, I mean, we are a family now. We do have a kid, so like it was just really memorable for us. And it's like those are the moments that count. Like I don't want to be in the house all day with my daughter watching Paw Control or what is that? Whatever, Power Rangers, whatever. Doing the same thing every day. It's like I literally have thousands of memories with her now, and they're all totally different. And she honestly is the coolest kid.
And she won't remember any of it, but it's definitely shaping her, Yeah. And like one of my favorite was Alaska. There's so many things that we did there that we went fishing, and our guide, we flew in, landed on a seaplane boat, got in a canoe from the plane, and went to this area and we're fishing, and the guide stopped Nellie. He said, whoa, stop casting. Why? What's going on? And then this grizzly bear just surfaces out of the water that anyone could have thrown a rock at. Like it wasn't that far from us, and it just takes a huge bite in a salmon and then goes back in the water.
We were like surrounded by bears, and they were just like,
yeah, they all started coming out. There was 5 at a time that we saw around us that we could have hit any of them, and then there was 7 total during that day. It was amazing. And our little girl is just all smiles as we're holding her and just surrounded by
Bears.
wild bears. And it was epic. But then South Dakota was awesome too.
We could literally go
Yeah.
on forever and ever and ever. So you might want to stop us.
But yeah, that's what we found out too is one thing almost to a fault. You get this pressure as a creator that once people start to resonate with your content or with you, you feel an obligation. They become so important to you, and you feel that responsibility, but also that bond. And so we were on this epic family trip, and the whole goal is to get friends and families to adventure more together. But a lot of the time, my mind was on these subscribers or strangers as we're doing something epic and I'm filming. And so Nelly helped me see, and finally we were like, okay, we need to enjoy the moments as a family. Like, to be a better creator and a content creator, you need to become a better person, and you need to actually live life
just how you want it, because
off camera even, so that you can better portray life on camera.
Because people know when you're fake. You can watch a video and you know when they're just not feeling it, or they're faking happiness, or you know what I mean? Like they know. Like people can catch on. So
that was a balance we had to figure out. Sometimes still feel like we are, and I think a lot of creators go through that, where we had days that were just for us, and then days that were like, okay, now we're going to film this because this is so good, we want to share it with everyone.
Yeah, and I think some people probably listening to this probably wondering like how you're able to afford it. So is like YouTube your full-time job, or are you also working remotely from the RV during your travels?
Yeah, YouTube's our main thing. I won't say it's our only thing, because of YouTube, other opportunities have come up. Like, after Evelyn was born, we bought the RV, and then when Nelly says we remodeled it within a month, I actually was gone half that time in Saudi Arabia, and because a opportunity came up to do some consulting over there for this city.
Before it was like legal to go there.
Yeah, and it was before they opened up tourist visas, and they were wanting to make that more of a thing. And so because of YouTube and because of other things that I had done, through a contact, that became an opportunity. So YouTube, we make a living on that, but we still do consulting when it makes sense. Last week, I filmed a thing for a dental company. So we consider ourselves a production company that just so happens to have a online brand and presence, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's our main thing. So you're right. I'm curious. We do need to put it together, how much it would have cost to do everything we did.
Because everything we did, though, was because of what we've gained from YouTube.
Yeah. So we worked with tourism boards. All the excursions we did
were free.
They were comped. Yeah. They said, yeah, we'll give you this experience for free. And many paid us as well to make a video and promote them. Or people just paid us to use their product as a treasure to give away, because we're giving them an advertisement, and reaching like-minded people.
And so like what would your advice be then to people that want to go full-time on YouTube? Because I feel like that's becoming a very aspirational thing, where especially with kids growing up now, you go into like a third grade classroom and every kid says they want to be a YouTuber or an influencer. So what would you say to kids like that want to go full-time on YouTube?
I tell those kids to wait till they're older. Just kidding. YouTube can be a safe and not safe place. You just got to be careful. But you're so knowledgeable about this.
What would you say?
I honestly think that, like, one, you have to be passionate about whatever you're doing, because there's so many copycat channels that are out there that are only doing it because they see somebody else succeeding in it, versus like actually being passionate about it. And usually I feel like those burn out and fail, or they get burnt out, because you can't fake something for that long, really. So one, you just do something you actually are passionate about and you care about, that you can connect with people. And then also, like, be consistent. Like, when I got pregnant with Evelyn, it's my first time around, I was so sick that we didn't vlog for like 3 months, and it really hurt our channel super bad. So be passionate, like, be true to you, like, don't copy people, just do it. And then also, just be consistent. Like you have to with YouTube, you have to with social media, because there is an algorithm. There is all these things that, YouTube will promote you, or they won't, or they'll share whatever. So you got to be consistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, especially people that are wanting to start off and then, or maybe they've been doing it for years, but they want to make it a full-time thing. There's a fine line with when you're a content creator or a quote influencer. And there is a negative sentiment around online influencers because many believe that people should worship them. I mean, they don't. But like,
no, there's people out there that
when people get a big following, they feel like if they give their time to anybody, not everyone, but some creators, it's like, oh, if I mention a brand at all, that brand needs to pay me so much because I have a huge following. And it's like, yes, maybe so, but it's not because you have a huge following. It's because you're going to make them more money. And a lot of YouTubers forget that part, that the end goal is to make a brand more money than they're actually paying you. But a lot of influencers think like, oh, I got to get so many followers and then I can charge this much. And there's never that complete sentence of, then I can make this brand so much more money. And so that was our approach. And that's always been our approach, that
they go above and beyond.
Yeah. And even when we had a tiny following, like when we were in Asia and we just only had a few thousand followers, Nelly emailed
like
40 plus hotels and cruise lines. And we admitted to them, we said like, hey, look, here's our reach. But we asked them as well, like, what needs do you have that we can help fulfill?
And here's the vision we have. Like,
yeah. And we always approach them like, how can we help you? Because at the end of the day, anyone will pay you $1 million if you're making them 2 million, if you're making them $1.5 million, or it'll pay you $1 if you make them more. And so even if you don't have a following, that's not the problem. Is you can still find people that need content. And to give an example, we have friends that had like 2,000 followers and they were charging $8,000 for 1 minute of video for companies. And it's because their content, they would film it so well that that brand would use that as an ad, and then they would
put it on their website.
Yeah, and it would convert for bookings, and they made 8 times more ROI than what they were spending. And it wasn't because that person had a following; it's because of the content. So play to your strengths. If you want to go full time, but you don't have a huge following, find people that you're like, you gel with their product or their messaging, and approach them and find out what they need and then make it happen. And even if they don't pay you, but you can show that you brought them results, it's such an easy conversation with the next brand to say, yeah, this brand, I worked with them and they made 4 times, 6 times what they invested. Would you like to work together?
That's the thing. YouTube is an investment. A lot of people just nowadays want quick, fast results. Like everything is so quick that when it takes more than 10 seconds, we're like, why isn't the internet working? We're like freaking out, or we start our computer and it's like, just chill for a second and just put in the work. Like YouTube's hard. Like, and everybody just has to put in the hustle. So
yeah.
Like, yeah, you might have to give free time. You might have to give a free video. You might, whatever. But if you really want it, you'll put in the work. Simple as that.
I think that's really good advice, especially that piece that we're talking about, how people need to consider the brands when they're helping them, not just think of themselves. But another good thing too, when it comes to videos on YouTube, is you need to get them shared. And I know, Bryce, you had a company called Shareability, and you also wrote a book called How Things Go Viral, a guide to shareable content. So I was curious for other tips as well for what makes a video shareable.
Yeah, I love that you asked that. I'm revamping a podcast with one of my coworkers, and the podcast will be How Things Go Viral, so I can learn a lot from you because your podcast is awesome.
Thank you.
And hopefully we're launching that next year, but we're meeting with people consecutively, asking them like, okay, what happened before, during, and after your thing went viral? Art, music, whatever. But as far as principles behind it, you're right. The big factor is getting people to share it. That, like, you don't have to worry about the algorithm. You don't have to worry about how big your marketing budget is. If you create content that people share, then it's going to always go beyond your budget. One person sees it, they share it, it'll always go. And so a few principles is to find what is your current demographic already sharing. So this is a simple practice people can do right now, is if they know who their ideal viewer is or their demographic, find that demographic on Facebook or on Twitter, somewhere where people can share stuff, and just spend a couple hours, an hour every day for 2 weeks, um, stalking people and looking in their profiles and just being like, what are they sharing? Not what are they commenting on, but what are they retweeting and what are they sharing? And actually write it down. And that seems tedious and it takes man hours, but if you do that over a couple weeks, you'll then find some common threads like, oh, all of these people are always sharing something that involves puppies, you know? But then that's a terrible quick example, but you can relate with it. And then maybe you're like, actually, it's not the puppies that they're sharing. It's the fact that someone was sad and it brightened that person's day and whatever. Like, you'll find these common themes, and then spend time thinking, how can I implement those same themes in my content?
Yeah.
And that's a good thing to start. But then also there's other principles that we focus on of like, we do research tactics of like, what are upcoming things? We predict trends by looking at what are like, I mean, Christmas is coming up. That's going to be trending in some aspect, right?
Doing good or surprising families or.
Yeah. Team trees is going to be spiking again as they're about to reach 20 million. And like all sorts of things with whether it's politics or weather or whatever.
Like the new Star Wars movie, like.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could, if you can find a way to create content around Mandalorian or the Star Wars video that's coming out, that's already going to get articles on Google. And so if you can then create something that people are already going to be writing about, that gives you credibility on Google's web crawler and then gives people reasons to write about you. Also adding urgency to it. So am I rambling too much? That's why we did the 50 states thing as well, Jacob, is because we wanted to add urgency to what we were doing, where we were only going to be in one state at a time, and we were only going to be that state for a few days. So, oh, it's cool, the Jurgys hide treasures, right? No one was already writing news articles about us. But then when we said, we are going to be in Illinois on these dates, it's going to be the only time we're in this state, we're featuring it as this in the 50 states. Dude, it became so easy. Nelly would just hit up the news channels. Hey, we're coming to your city on these dates. This is what we're doing. If you need any extra content for your news that day, let us know. And over 50% said yes and would come out to wherever we were and interview us.
And they wanted to like be with us when we hid the treasure, or they wanted to be involved somehow or whatever. So they were like pumped.
And so they wouldn't have cared if we didn't have a timeline to it and there wasn't urgency. And the reason why it was a shareable aspect too is because it was relevant to the people in that city. It's like, hey, everyone in our city, one of you is going to get this free RV from Cruise America for a week, or a free flight here, or whatever. And so adding an urgency to it and always just making sure it's relevant.
That you can like relate to people.
Yeah. So I guess here's a good takeaway for people that are listening. Instead of having your viewer watch your content and think, dang, that was such a good video, you want them to think, I have to share this with Eric, or I have to share this with Sarah. Like, you don't want people to say, that was a good video. You want them to think, I have to share this with so-and-so. And so ask that question. Why would they share it? It doesn't always equate to the production quality. It's right. Like some of the most viral videos, most of them are filmed just on a cell phone.
Like we purposely did that with our Pokemon video.
Mm-hmm.
We made it like more.
Yeah,
real.
That's true. We hired a professional videographer, does amazing work. And we filmed one of the scenes. I forgot about that.
Uh-huh.
And we were like, this is going to be a critical scene that everyone will comment on in our video. And he filmed it too perfectly.
It was so smooth. And
yeah, that was our first day of filming. And that night when we were looking at it, we were like, no one's going to share this. It feels too professional.
It's like almost fake.
Yeah. And it feels like I don't know, just like someone trying to be cool, but like it's one step away from being totally relevant. So the next day we filmed it, not on a glide cam. It was more punchy and jumpy and
Like somebody was catching it on camera.
yeah, kind of amateur, and that made the whole difference.
Interesting. There's so many different like ways we could go off of everything you just said, but the first one I kind of want to dive into is traditional media. As someone or as people that have really grown a huge presence digitally, why is traditional media something that you still use as an avenue to get your message out there?
It's still really respected. And so here's the thing that I love. If someone has no followers, right? Let's say you feel like if you feel like I don't have enough followers to approach a brand and get my foot in the door. Approach your local news channel because they are always in need of content anyway. They're usually just writing about sensational news and sad stories. And we've had almost every news anchor that's met with us. Seriously, almost everyone has said, "Thank you so much. This is the funnest story I've done in the last while."
Or I had to pick a bunch of these stories, and I picked your guys's because it was happy, and
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, I wanted to do something happy. And so the first news agency that wrote about us was like a small local, it was ABC 10. But when ABC 10 did a video about us, we then took that link and we hit up all these brands that we wanted to work with. And we said, "Hi, we're doing a 50-state trip. You can see about ABC talked about us here." We didn't say ABC Local News 10, right? We said ABC just wrote about us here, and then we put a link. And so short answer is it gives you credibility. If the news is talking about you, even if it's the local news that only has a few thousand homes that watch, it gives you instant credibility. So whenever the news is talking about you, that's when you approach the big brands that you want to work with, because you're showing them that my story is good enough that the global or the national news wants to talk about it. And at that point, even if you only have a few hundred subscribers, the news channel has 100,000 homes. And so during that week, you now have 100,000 subscribers. Does that make sense? In a way, like you got 100,000 people to view your story, and you can then approach a brand and say, "I can do the same thing for you. If you sponsor me with this, I will do another video and get the news to talk about it." And then it gives also to be verified on Instagram. One of the things that Instagram says themselves is news articles. And so when we had a surge of news articles about us, we just woke up one morning and had a blue check mark on Instagram. Nelly was like, "Hey, we're verified." I was like, no, we're not. And we didn't even apply. We didn't know anything. And when I checked and we had it, and we only had like what, 13, 14,000 followers at the time. And so we had a bunch of creators hit us up and they're like, "Hey, how'd you guys buy that check mark?"
We didn't.
We're like, "We didn't." And it's because of the backlinks. If you have, it doesn't matter if it's a small local news channel, they're putting that online and you have an online credible source that you don't own. It's the public who's talking about you and they're linking to your YouTube channel. That gives you credibility. And people have even said on the trending page, if it's a video that reaches a broad audience and it's being talked about all over on different websites, that increases your chances of being on the trending page.
Interesting. And another thing I wanted to ask you both about too, speaking of getting on the trending page, is do you pay attention to your analytics and do you get deep into them, look at things like your click through rate and your average view duration, stuff like that? Is that something you take time to go through every once in a while, or do you kind of just produce the content and it's just been doing well or on its own?
Bryce is always looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like to dive deep into it. And I will say this, we committed to do 50 states before we even knew if our audience would enjoy it. And some of the videos haven't performed like amazingly, where they've only have a few thousand views. And that happened when we were within like our first 6 videos, we had a couple that were like, "Huh, okay." And we're like, "Well, we have to make 44 more." and so as far as when you're testing things out with your audience, I wouldn't commit to doing 50 videos, but maybe 4. And if they don't resonate with it, be like, okay, we'll try something else.
But our videos got better.
They did get better. And we had to realize too, before we did the 50 states, we always mixed in these content videos like the Pokemon Go. That doesn't have to do with travel, right? So we had this audience that we brought in addition to travel, this audience that loved our surprise prank kind of vibe. And they might not have been as passionate about travel. So we kind of just had to get the ball rolling again. And so it's good now. And we've built a really strong loyal.
We all had that mommy audience too following.
Yeah. Yep. So as far as consistency, when Nelly said you got to be consistent, that doesn't mean just uploading the same day every week or every month or whatever. It also means content wise. And we've bounced into 3 different realms with our content. They all have the same purpose of getting people to get out more. But one was like when our baby came, we had a ton of mommy blogger type viewers following us, which are not Pokemon Go audience.
I was going to say, you mentioned the prank surprise videos, and I wanted to ask here quickly about your 2 most viewed videos, the one where you surprised Nelly with all the puppies and as well as the huge Christmas gift video. What was the kind of the stories behind those 2? And then is there anything that you did specifically that helped those ones really take off?
Okay. Yeah. So like when we started our channel, Nelly wanted to get people to get outside. We also kind of hated these couple prank videos that were on YouTube that were
like horrible.
They were horrible.
Like rude. They're like
cheating on my spouse prank. Like what? Why is that even? And why is everyone watching it? And why am I clicking on it and watching it? Or pretending or faking that I died, and they like fill the tub with fake blood and they're laying in the tub when their spouse gets home. Like, what the heck? Yeah, like what good is that doing? And so I was like, I kind of want to
already surprising each other anyway too.
Normally in our life we were always surprising each other. So I was like, okay, I kind of want to capture one of these for our memories. And then I was like, the first one I did was the Christmas gift, and I thought, how can I then hopefully maybe create this trend that gets people away from doing rude pranks where the video ends with them threatening they're going to get a divorce to actually the spouses appreciating each other. And Nelly's always wanted a piano, but we weren't full-time yet on YouTube, and we were working our jobs and trying to make YouTube happen. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to get this piano. It was a big purchase for us at the time, but I was confident. I don't know why. I just felt in my gut. I was like, we're going to make money back. Yeah, I guess that's why I'm always confident. I don't always succeed. But yeah, we did that video and Christmas happened. I uploaded it right after Christmas. It didn't, it got like our average views, but then like January 18th, it spiked for some reason. And then because Christmas, then everyone's watching these gifts about Christmas surprises. The title was Husband Surprises Wife with Huge Christmas Gift. By digging into the analytics and using like vidIQ and TubeBuddy, I noticed that the term husband surprises wife, we ranked number 1 in that. And that was a big type of thing of these couples videos. And so I was talking to Daryl Eves and other people about how we were ranked number 1, and they're like, you got to do a follow-up video. And Nelly loves puppies, so I thought, well, I'll just fill our house with puppies. That was the easiest video ever filmed. Set up a few cameras. Nelly was like in her happiest place on earth for a few hours, and then she had to go back to work.
And I was like in the saddest place. So.
And it was one of the funnest videos to edit. And that one, when we uploaded it, it went viral right away because we were already ranked number 1 on that key term. And we gained 11,000 subscribers in one day, and we had like.
We should do more of those videos.
I know. We had like 10,000 subscribers at the time. We immediately jumped up to 40,000 subscribers in a couple days, and then it grew, and that was all fun. And we look back, we're like, we probably should have kept running on that, this whole consistency thing. And we did a few more couple surprise videos.
And we've talked about doing more because we actually sincerely love them, but we just had to wrap up with staying 50 states.
Yeah, we do have some future travel plans that are kind of meshing travel and these couple surprise videos. That we're excited about. So that's what by using analytics, I knew that, this next video is going to do really well. I also reached out to other YouTubers. The first thumbnail, actually, the husband surprises wife with huge Christmas gift, I didn't have the thumbnail there the first few days. And Sean from Jurgys, he brought up, he's like, that's such a good So I shared the video on Facebook and I put up a different photo for my Facebook post. And Sean was like, dude, that's such a good thumbnail. And I didn't have that as a thumbnail for YouTube. And I was like, he's right. I should change it. So I changed it, and that helped with click-through rate. And so it didn't show click-through rates at the time, but it definitely, the video skyrocketed after that. So that's a good advice too, of like always having this mastermind group and realizing that you're too close to your content. So you need to ask outside people like, hey, would you click on this video? Why or why not?
That's awesome. No, but we are actually getting a little bit over time here. So I just want to jump to the last question I had. And I ask everybody this question, and I kind of flip the script a little bit. So instead of me asking the question, it's you asking the question, but it's not to me. So let's pretend you have a crystal ball, and you can ask this crystal ball any question, and it will give you the honest answer. So if you could ask this crystal ball any question, what would you ask that you want to know the answer to?
It can be about anything.
Anything at all.
What's the gender of my second baby? I'm pregnant right now. I don't know if you knew that. So,
Oh, congratulations.
I think it'd probably be like, what is the most good we could do in the world right now? Like, what is that thing? Like, should we work on some like sex trafficking stuff? Should we move to Africa and build an orphanage? Like, if we could just know like the best possible thing we could do to bless other people's lives, like that would be amazing. I mean, we can still do good, but it'd be cool if we like knew like the ultimate thing. I know that's nothing to do with YouTube, but
that's why I'm the luckiest man, because I was not thinking as charitable of those thoughts. That's why Nelly and I are a good team. I was also thinking, yes, but my thought was, what would resonate the most with people? Because we want to do good as well, and that's what we're talking about for 2020, going into that. But also, like, what will resonate the most with? I don't know. There's a lot of different angles we can take things, and that's kind of been on my mind a lot recently. Is people spend their whole lives chasing something that doesn't turn out exactly as they think it would, and I just want to know what will provide the most value back to our family and for people we're interacting with.
Actually, those are two really good questions, and like I'm always curious to see what people come up with when I ask that question. I don't think anybody's quite taken in that direction before, so I really like both of your answers.
There's so many ways to make money and be successful, but not all of them are fulfilling.
yeah.
And that's what we're always trying to be doing. Like, what's fulfilling not only for us, but everyone that we're around. Like, how can we
Why would we
bless
quit our
their
day
lives?
jobs?
A lot of people are like, I want to be a YouTuber so I can be free. And it's like, no, you're just changing your boss. Your boss now becomes your subscriber. Not really, but in some ways, like, there's so many creators that they don't want to be making the videos they're making. They're just making them because it's working right now, and it affects them psychologically and mentally. And so, yeah, it's kind of where that's based from.
Fair enough. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on this podcast. I just wanted to give you the floor. Where can the people find you? Plug anything and everything that you got right now.
Sweet. So, yeah, at the Jurgys. If you search that on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, those are all very important to us.
Literally Jurgys.
Yeah.
Jurgys.
Yeah, and we actually are finishing it right now, but we've been working for months really hard with a online course, and we're taking everything that we've learned in the last 4+ years into a few weeks program. I'm really excited about it. It's called How to Travel for Free and Get Paid, and they can find that. It's like thejurgyscourse.com/waitlist to get in right now, and that's going to go live soon. But like, the hope there is that everyone who joins within the first few weeks, they'll have a free trip. And I know that sounds gimmicky, but we go live in the group and Facebook, and there are ways that even when you don't have a following, to work with tourism boards, to work with excursions, to work with whatever, where they're always giving comped trips in exchange for promotion or future things. And there's other ways to get around it too. So that's our goal, is that everyone who joins the course will get a free trip within the first few weeks, and then we'll teach them how to start making money that if they wanted, they could make that their full-time thing.
That's so cool. Wow. So definitely for anybody listening, make sure you guys do me a big favor and you go and follow the Jurgys on Instagram, subscribe to their YouTube channel, check them out on Facebook, and definitely join the waitlist for their brand new course. And I want to thank everybody for listening, whether you've listened the entire way through, you've only listened to bits and pieces. I really appreciate you taking time to check this out. Do me a favor, like I said, go and follow the Jurgys. And if you'd like to follow me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and at the Jacob Kelly. Feel free to come and say hello. My DMs are always open. And if you'd like to follow the podcast, you can find us on Instagram and at My Social Life Podcast or on YouTube by searching up My Social Life. Thank you once again for listening, everybody. We'll talk soon.